Sponsored by the Virgin Valley Artists Association, we got the podcast that's sweeping the nation. 10 Minutes With. Who's going to be with today? Welcome to another episode of 10 Minutes with Tyler. Today's episode will be very fascinating.
Just recently, I learned that Tyler completed a pretty amazing feat. I just was blown away that he was able to do this. Tyler, go.
Excellent. So this summer I set a goal for myself and I did a 21-day fast. And if you're not familiar with that term, that means that I went 21 days without eating any food of any sort. The only thing I did was drink water and salt water.
Oh, that sounds so hard. Well, now, did the salt water make you sick?
No, actually, once you're fasting, salt water is very refreshing. And it's strange when you're eating food and you have like salt water, it's like, oh, this is salty.
Oh, it's horrible.
But like when you're fasting, it's like, oh, there's not enough salt in this.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very different. It's kind of refreshing.
Okay, so tell us how you came about doing this.
Okay, so about 4 years ago, I at the time was unfortunately extremely sick. And my youngest is born, I'm laying on the couch at home dying. And just kind of paint a picture of how bad I was, I lost 70 pounds in a month. And that's how sick I was.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah. And so I'm terribly sick at home. And so I'm just laying on the couch watching YouTube videos. I was watching these panels of doctors talking about health. And they would talk about, oh, what do you do about dairy? What do you do about... And so they're talking about foods. And the topic of fasting comes up. And they're like, oh, do you suggest fasting? And they're going through talking about why they use fasting. And one of them was like, oh yeah, I use fasts. I usually have my patients do 21-day fasts. And I'm like, what? And then he says the thing that got me started on it. He goes, oh, you're not even hungry after day 4. And I immediately was like, oh, that is a lie. I'm going to prove that wrong. So I go to my wife. I get off the couch just for this. I go to her. I'm like, I'm going to do a 4-day fast. And she's like, oh, hell no, you're not.
Right, you just lost 70 pounds.
You're losing all this weight. You're so
Right.
thin right now. She's like, I've never seen you so thin in my life. You are not going 4 days without eating. I'm like, no, hear me out. They said that you're not even hungry after day 4. And I had to prove that wrong. And she's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. Like, I have to prove this wrong. She's like, no, you don't. You don't have to die on me.
Right.
You are not fasting for 4 days. And I eventually convinced her. I don't remember how I convinced her, but she let me do a 4-day fast. And I get to day 4 and I'm like so excited. I'm like, wow, it's true. I'm not even hungry right now. And my wife's like, great, now eat. And I'm like, okay.
All right.
And then about a week after that, I was like, okay, I want to do a 7-day fast now. And she's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, no. Like, look, I feel really good now. I'm not sick anymore. And I'm starting to feel better. And like, I want to do a 7-day fast because like last time I got to day 4 and then you made me eat. I have to do at least a few days to find out if I'm not hungry after day 4. Is it just day 4 or is it like continuing after day 4? And she's like, fine, you can do a 7-day fast, but that's it,
Right.
Well, I did a 7-day fast, and sure enough, day 4 through day 7, I felt fabulous. I had so much energy. I wasn't hungry. It was marvelous, and I started getting better. I started feeling better. I continued to do fast occasionally because I noticed that I felt really good after doing fasts. And so for the last 4 years, I've been doing lots of 5-day fasts. 5-day fasts are easy, and I say easy relatively because day 2 is terrible. Day 2 of a fast is so rough. Of course, I learned tricks to make it so day 2 is not that hard. I just did all these 5-day fasts, and you'd get to day 3, and you'd go through this transition day of going from a hard day to an easy, and then suddenly you have all this energy, and you feel great. You go out and go for a bike ride. I think the longest I rode my bike on a fast was I went 18 miles one day while fasting, yeah. But like, you have so much energy. You feel great. That's what got me started on it. And so I've been doing lots of 5-day fasts. And then I've still been battling. I've had this sickness. It's hypereosinophilia. Basically, my body will just pick a trigger and it starts to attack me. And it's like asthma. Eosinophilia can attack in all sorts of different ways. It can attack by closing off your lungs, closing off your throat. Some people have it where it causes intestinal bleeding. I was pretty lucky. It would only close my lungs up.
So is this autoimmune then, I guess?
It's autoimmune,
Okay.
yeah. And so the last big one I had put me in the hospital, pretty bad. About died twice while I was in there. So, and it was right when COVID started, so they all thought I was the very first patient of COVID in our area. I wasn't. I was just a regular attack that just went a little too far.
It's just my body doing this.
But I've been doing these 5-day fasts to help maintain it because every time I do those for the next week or two, I don't have severe attacks. I decided to do a 21-day fast because while you're fasting, your body's able to heal. If you think about it, your body's has to take food and convert it into something that can store energy, then to break that down into energy. So it's got all these processes. And if you remove all those processes, suddenly your body has so much extra time to do things with. And what does your body do during that time? It heals. That's why I wanted to do the 21-day fast. Is I had an idea that doing a 21-day fast might help me with my hypereosinophilia, mostly because a energy healer doctor I went to does a process of elimination. He says, oh, you have this problem. You have problems in your joints. Oh, okay. Go avoid tomatoes for 9 months or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, oh, yeah, you've got this problem. You need to go avoid chemicals for 3 weeks. I'm like, how do you avoid chemicals for 3 weeks? And I was like, well, I'm going to do my 21-day fast, and that will be my avoidance of chemicals. And so that was part of it, and I feel fabulous now. It really did a great job. I feel really healthy, and so.
So how long ago did you finish?
Been over a month now.
A month. Okay. I don't know if this is too personal, but how much weight did you lose?
Actually, not that much. Yeah, so I started my fast. I was at 185 pounds, and I got down to 162. Ish. The 21-day fast actually blew my mind a little bit in this way. I'm used to doing 5-day fasts. And with a 5-day fast, it's short enough that you don't really need to do the salt water. Salt's important. Like, you need water, you need salt. You can't do without those. You can do without food. Your body's got fat stores for that. But your body needs salt and water. But like doing a 5-day fast, you can get by with just water. Push it to 7, you need salt. I found that as my fast went on, after day 7, I started adding more and more salt every single day to my water. Day 7, it was like slightly brackish water, but by the time I got to like day 21, I felt like I was drinking sea salt. Like it was just like salt.
So when water. So you crave it and then you drink it, do you actually feel better?
Oh, yeah,
you feel the
so
difference?
good. Yeah, you can feel the difference. And like my body was definitely craving it by the end. I was like, man, I really need some more salt in this. I'd take a sip and I'd just be like, that's not enough. And I'd add more salt, take another sip. That's not enough. And I'd keep doing it until like my body was like, that's it. It was definitely interesting doing that much salt.
Sure. Oh yeah, we always feel guilty when we do too much salt.
Yeah, doing a 5-day fast, you can go back to normal eating within a day. It's pretty easy. You eat a small meal and then you can go back to a full meal. 21-day fast, it took me 3 days to get back to a normal sized meal. And even at that, it was still very, very small.
Well, and I can imagine it would be probably uncomfortable. Like your whole digestive system's pretty much probably shut down.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's part of the reason why it takes so long. They call it refeeding. If you go to a doctor who does fasting, they call it refeeding, reteaching the body how to digest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and I wonder, I would have thought you would have said, oh my gosh, I lost another 70 pounds doing this for 3 weeks. One thing you hear with diet, just in normal dieting talk, is they do say that if you starve yourself, sorry, that's not a nice way to say it, but our bodies go into starvation mode. And so then they are holding on to it is holding on.
Let me explain that real quick.
Okay.
A lot of people don't understand what starvation comes from. We can make this the final topic of this. Starvation is coming from your body thinking it's going to be fed. And what it does is exactly what was happening to me when I was sick on my couch dying. All that weight I lost, I went from being able to do 200 push-ups and being 250 pounds down to 180 pounds and only be able to do 10. And that's because I was losing all that muscle mass. Mm-hmm. A lot of the weight I lost was muscle. And because what was happening is I was still eating. So my body's like, he's eating, so we're getting energy. It's not getting energy. So what does your body do? It takes energy from your muscles. Your muscles break down way easier than fat. So your body will attack the muscle before it attacks the fat. If you're in a fast and you're not eating, your body says, well, he's not eating, so we're going to rely on keto. Your body's either in calorie mode or keto mode. And if you're in calorie mode and you don't get enough calories, your body takes muscle. If you're in keto mode and you're not getting enough calories, your body takes fat, right? And the way to be in keto is to only be eating meats and fat or not eating at all. And calorie, well, eat anything you want.
Sure. If you did do keto and then you did your fast, would you right from the beginning be burning fat, do you think?
Oh,
or
yeah,
would
absolutely.
You go back
Actually, I said that day 2 is the hardest day. If you want to avoid day 2 being the hard day, start off by doing 2 to 3 days of keto. Okay. So that's eating things like bacon and eggs one day, and then you have fish and avocado, things like that. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly you just cut off, stop eating, and suddenly your body transitions fully to just using body fat, and you don't go through this painful day of your body being like, feed me.
Right. I've actually tried keto a few times, and you're right, after the first few days, well, no, maybe not even a few days for me, it's probably a little bit longer, but I kind of lose interest in eating completely, just in general,
It's easy to switch to fasting.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this has been fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing this. I've never known anyone who's done this, so I think it's a very cool experience.
I'm glad that we could share this fast experience.
Thank you. Thank you.
But if you have other questions about this, you can email us at artboxvv@gmail.com, or you can attend one of Tyler's drawing classes, which are when, Tyler?
So Tuesdays from 2 to 4,
Yeah.
and it's at the art gallery, and the class behind it.
Yeah, and as long as the question was pretty fast, you would probably answer it.
It never gets old, does it?
Nope.
Bye, everybody.
Broadcasting from Mesquite, Nevada, in the scenic Mojave Desert, the Art Box sponsors thank you for listening. To find our next and past podcasts, visit us online at mesquitefineartcenter.com.